What is up, friends? It is wonderful to be back here with you at the Get Signals Demand Gen conference. If you caught my last webinar on the differences between Google Analytics 3 and Google Analytics 4, you may already know that that content won a People's Choice Award at this very conference. So I've got more for you today, and if you learned anything of value here, please do remember to vote for me so that I can get that digital trophy again. Yes, the title of this webinar is Are You Doing It Wrong? I said what I said. I've seen a lot of Google Analytics 4 implementations come my way, and yes, category action label are the parameters of choice for most companies who are just learning about GA4. But let me tell you, there's so much more. And if you're using category action label in your GA4 accounts, do not feel bad. I'm here to show you how to level that up into something grander than category action label could ever give you. And if you're confused and you don't know about event-based GA4, you may want to watch that award-winning content from the last Signals conference. So here we go. Now, I make this analogy in my last webinar, but the context is so important. The data model has changed. We're structured versus unstructured. The way to think about this is Google Analytics 3 is a model home. Everything in there works. It might be a little vanilla, but you can walk in, you can turn on the lights, you can run the water, and there are rooms. Google Analytics 4 is the home taken down to the studs. What's awesome is that you can have it exactly as you like it, but you're going to have to get the carpenters and the plumbers, and you're going to have to make your own blueprint for putting everything in there to build it up. So in essence, there's a lot that you can mess up. Google is doing this because of privacy reasons, but the main one that matters today is AI and machine learning. The AI era does not have time for dashboards. We want to know what we need to know in the moment of acting. We need fearless decision making, and this is the promise of the new data architecture of GA4. Deeper, meaningful data that can be put into an AI to learn what our customers and our prospects prefer. And in that way, you're going to get to data driven empathy and getting to the real message. So we're going to get really crazy and deep with event parameters, which when you ask developers for this, they're going to ask you how important it is. So let's get a little context on what it's all about. Everybody talks about being data driven, but what does it even mean? All your tools tell you, oh, you can measure this. You need to be able to attribute that in your marketing materials. But what that says to me is prove it. Prove yourself, measure yourself, see if you're good enough. And it isn't our fault with respect to Avinash Kaushik and the godfathers of analytics. We had a pretty simple beginning. Just show what marketing is doing. And while it's important, the gravitational pull to measure our performance has taken us away from something even more important, something that is the reason we became marketers, designers, customer experience professionals. The word data has a Latin root meaning to give. Our customers are giving us this gift of their behavioral data in a swipe and a gallery view and a white paper download. And this is an opportunity to see them, to hear them. We're not getting deep insights about their experience from this kind of thing. I was a director of analytics for 15 years for brands like Intel, like Nissan, Salesforce. I built hundreds of these. And you know who looked at them? Nobody, until I was in the room. What they wanted instead was research and the answers to questions that dashboards created. So, will the data we talk about today end up in a permanent dashboard? No, probably not. But will it be available to you to research when you're ready to ask the question? Yes. An example of this in the wild is I took a giant pay cut to work for independent media in the Philippines. packed up my family, moved to the mother country, and went to work on a media site with 30 million visits a month, all to support this woman who stood alone when she stood up to a dictator. And all that detailed goodness of what people were looking at, what people were reading, what time signatures they were logging on and logging off, times of day, all of that detail helped me help this person increase revenue 40%. We won a Google News Initiative grant, and in 2021, that woman won the Nobel Peace Prize. The intimacy between a brand and their site visitors begins with the richness of behavioral data on site. Used to be a thing we called web analytics. When the data ecosystem got so huge with Facebook, DMPs, programmatic, the gravitational pull to analyze that data instead of what was happening on the website took us away from understanding how people are interacting with our brand. The website is where the rubber meets the road. So the people who actually care about this kind of things will have titles like user experience manager, e-commerce manager, product manager, growth hacker. But the thing to remember, if you are a brand who is empathetic to your customer experience, you're going to want to get crazy with parameters. So let's take a look at a few ways to see this. Now, quick explanation of what a parameter is. Gone are the GA4 category action labels for custom events. Now again, if you're using that in GA4, don't feel bad. Sometimes we need to translate. If we're moving from America to France, we got to speak English in our mind, translate it to French before we can actually speak French. But if you want to speak French, if you want to speak Google Analytics 4, parameter is the attribute you care about. This is the piece of information that further defines the event. So unlike Universal Analytics, GA4 is event-based, meaning that all interactions are captured as events, and every event is a count. That is a metric, and each event can have multiple parameters associated with it, of which you have 25. Now, the main parameter that we're going to talk about are event parameters. Let's look at a real live example. I've picked two websites, prestigious schools that are generating leads, Yale versus Harvard. Now let's imagine that I am a person who has just received my congratulations, you've been accepted letter. And I'm trying to figure out, let's get into the mind and be empathetic. I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to pay for this? How is my family going to pay for it? So I'm on the financial aid of Yale University, and I could see there are like some forms, FAQs, billing and payment, financial literacy. What does that even mean? Important information. It's starting out with like deadlines and forms to fill out, fee waiver requests. Now I can see something that's actually empathetic. See what Yale's financial aid means for your family. Okay, I know what that means. But also, there are two cost calculators. Which one should I choose? And then we're at the end. Some bullet points on submitting financial aid documents. Now let's have a look at Harvard's financial aid page. On Harvard's financial aid page, hopefully you can immediately see what I'm seeing. Giant emotive experience. There is a vibe, number one, a vibe of what it is like to be in class, in situation, to be a student, and to be participating. Hook one. Hook two, on this page, how it works, net price calculator, apply, additional funding procedures, history of financial aid, and then federal disclosures. In addition, I've got some things here, FAQs, right up at the top. Is there financial aid for foreign students? What happens if I miss the financial aid deadline? Those questions to me speak a brand that knows what their customers are here to ask for. Generate a lead because I am feeling more comfortable with this experience. By the numbers, 24% of Harvard families pay nothing, 55% receive a scholarship. The average parent contribution is $13,000 only. 100% of students can graduate debt-free. Wow. now there are reasons to believe that I should look further down on this page. In addition, net price calculator, there's only one calculator to go to. How to apply, some quick links, more videos of financial aid stories. What is it like? So you can see that there is a big difference in the user experience in Harvard versus Yale's experience. Now let's take a look at the data that they're collecting. What I've got going on here is Analytics Debugger. I'm looking at the GA4 account, and I can see that on a page view, I'm looking for this, event parameters. What are they sending with that page view? Now, there's some stuff that is available from Google out of the box, like you still have your page URL, you still have browser, but this event parameter, custom event parameters, is not being used by Yale. I could see that there was a click, outbound links, and a link. Let's take a look at Harvard. So on the page view for Harvard, they're using their custom event parameters. One is called content category, content type, primary audience. This was financial aid. I was on a landing page, and this content is for prospective and current students. In addition, you watched me open up some of those accordions. That's what these guys are called right down here. And now you can see that accordion click was an event that is being captured. And with accordion click, the parameters are content group, click text, is there financial aid, more primary audience, content type, content category. Here's my accordion click for what happens if I miss the financial aid deadline. So you can see here that on Harvard, they're capturing way more events on the user experience on this page. And do you think that there is a coincidence that Harvard happens to be collecting more data and happens to have a kick-ass user experience? No. The data collection here is intentional. It is intended to learn about the user. This is the difference between robust data outcomes and very lacking of data. They don't know what they're like, here's the information, blah, vomit it. Harvard is like, I know what you're here. I know what you're feeling. And here's all of the things to help you feel more comfortable. Hopefully, you're starting to see why parameters matter in Google Analytics 4. I'll show you another example of Free People. I love the Free People website because when you go through the homepage of Free People, you can see that there's these different modules that are firing. There's 3, there's a 4, there's a 2. And as I go through, I could see that module impressions start to fire. And that's amazing for merchandising in e-commerce. However, I do notice that they are using event category and event label still. And inside that event label, this is what they're firing. I see content about September faves as some kind of content, fall 24, control, homepage, customer favorites. There's a lot of data in here. Now, is this data separated by a pipe and can be analyzed by an analyst? Sure, but it is a pain in the butt. Some other ways that I might reuse their parameters is to say module name, module date, module content, or content type. Those are some things that they might consider. Let's take a look at a ticket buying service. Vivid Seats. I'm looking at Foo Fighters tickets. Here on the Foo Fighters page, I can see that there's 2 events that are being, 2 main ones, a page view. On page view, look at all those beautiful event parameters. It's showing me the performer, performer type, performer ID, that item category. Imagine in another universe, this is called sports, rock, maybe there's like punk, and then the item category number 3. Um, Here, there's a view item list, which is an e-commerce event for when you're shopping for different types of products. And hopefully now you can start to see how event parameters are things that tell you a lot more about a user's visit than just a home page. Now, what you're going to want to do with this information is you're going to go at your website and you're going to start creating a spreadsheet of all of the different user experience features and functionality that you have. You're going to list that out in this component column. You're going to say, of all these things, call to action clicks, modals, content accordions, form submissions, registration, what do I want to know? So first, you're going to download this analytics debugger. You'll recognize it by the rubber duck, and you'll be able to add it to Chrome and start debugging your websites. That's what this handy tool is that I've been using. You're going to start clicking around on your websites and see, is it present on the site and is it tagged with GA4 tags? Some of them will be a no, and that increases your value at your company right away. We need to tag these things so that we can get intimate with our customers. Then you're going to start to create a tracking schema, which maybe you already have some of this. In one column, you're going to have your event name. And here we call this, the way we do it at ClickVoyant is to say object underscore action, navigation click, filter view, form start, form submit. Then you're going to create another column. For me, this is in my column H for all of the things that I want to understand about that parameter. Now you can use event category, event label, but you can also do things even deeper. And when you start to think about all of these things that I want to know about that particular event, you'll start to create your custom event parameter list. You'll tap out at 25. So don't let that limit you. Think about, just brainstorm about all the things that you want to know. UX feature name, video title, video length, form name, click text. And then you'll start to give some examples, and that's how you'll start to create your very own data architecture in an unstructured data set that is GA4. So I hope you have learned something today about how to advance Google Analytics 4. If you would like to go even deeper with me, you can do a 4-day GA4 bootcamp where we cover all of these things and you get homework checked by yours truly. And at the end of the 4-day course, you also get Looker Studio dashboards and stuff and learn how to analyze the data therein. So if you're interested in this, I'm not putting a link in here, but you can Google Mia Umanos. Find me on LinkedIn. I am legit the only one out there. If you Google me, you can get my old MySpace, my own SoundCloud bet. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the conference.